Hello and welcome to another episode of the Simon and Friends podcast. I am Simon Short. Joining me this week is Ben Parker. Ben, welcome in and throwing on the glasses as we get started. We got the flannel matching. Uh, it's the perfect show for us to be dressed and looking exactly like. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great. Football season is back on. And listen, you know me, I love the off season almost as good as I do the regular season. But still, there's nothing like the cool weather. Football's back on again. I mean, it's fantastic. So I am super excited to be here and the stuff we're covering tonight too. And yeah, these glasses are a sign of old age. I'm 46 now, so I got all of this little itty bitty tiny print that I have to read. So, that's what the glasses are for.
The YouTube viewers got a great shot of your I don't know what words I can say on YouTube, but your serial like we'll say handwriting there. Um, at least you have a reason, man. Like 46 little handwriting on paper. I get that. I had
Right.
to get these when I was 7 because I couldn't hit a baseball. They're like he's doing what he's supposed to do, and he hasn't hit a ball like all summer. Have you tried
Right.
glasses? Put them on. It changed my world for Little League for the next 4 years. It was a great time. Anyways, that's not what we're here to talk about. We are here because, like Ben said, we're early in the NFL season. It is week 2 of the NFL schedule. It's also week 2 of Ben and I previewing the 2026 NFL draft. We did quarterbacks. We did that, right? Ben, what do they say in Hollywood? One for them, one for us. We talked quarterbacks for almost 2 hours a month ago. That's for everybody else. We did film breakdowns. We talked about the strengths and weaknesses. We talked about Arch Manning for a minute. Now we're here to talk about the offensive lineman. This is for you and me. We've got our flannel, we've got our glasses. We're on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, like this video, comment, subscribe, do all that jazz. If you're listening on the audio version because you just like the sounds of our voices better, we appreciate and understand it. Still go throw a subscription over on YouTube as well. Just search my name, Simon Shorts, not the podcast, but you'll see the podcast when you go there. Speaking of podcasts, here's everything on Box Score Network. In the flat college football podcast because Concacaf soccer podcast is still doing stuff every couple of weeks, and then all of our other NFL flagship type podcasts. Odds on Favorite is giving you access to Ben's YouTube channel as well, Pro Football Enterprises, and Box Score Network. Just letting everybody know, really for the first time, a real conjoined effort on the YouTube channel right now on the fantasy football front. Every Tuesday, get your waiver wire pickup recommendations from Two Peas on a Pod. That's going up every Tuesday morning. And every Sunday morning, get your start sit questions answered with Ben, Austin, and any other grouping of Box Score podcast hosts. So make sure you check that out for all your fantasy football needs. Box Score Network YouTube channel. You also see clips from this channel and show as well. Ben, let's dive in, man. The 2026 NFL offensive line class. Just big picture, first thoughts. Like, how are you feeling about the class overall so far?
So I really like the group. I'm not totally sure how deep it is, but in terms of guys that I would draft in the first round, there's several at the moment. Stay tuned all through the process, but at the moment, there's several guys I like. I'm still looking for that one true dominant all pro level guy that I'm just, I've got to have him. Haven't quite yet found that guy, but boy, I really like this group. And that's really started to be more of my draft focus anyway, is I'm not necessarily trying to establish who the best guy is all the time, but I'm looking for guys that will help my team.
Yeah.
And they're going to be very different kinds of guys sometimes, but that's what I'm looking for. And I see several of these guys here.
Yeah, when you look at a guy like the first guy we're going to talk about tonight, Spencer Fano, like just a road grader, right? Okay, so who's that going to work for? And then you can go all the way down to an Austin Barber out of Florida, who's like not the strongest guy, but he's light on his feet. So like who's running a wide zone scheme that could just use a tough guy that can move a little bit and like yeah, you don't have to be the strongest guy. You don't have to have the most sand in your pants type of thing. As we get deeper into doing this more and more times, and this is the second year Ben and I are having a monthly dedicated draft show, which will hopefully go to twice a month again when the NFL season actually ends. Um, we are following these patterns and trends of specific teams. So when you're listening, if you're a fan of a certain team, like maybe we're lower on a guy, but we can highlight something interesting that sparks to you like, hey, my team loves this, right? My team runs wide zone and we're gonna need a tackle. Or my team really likes linemen that can just like clear a lane in the middle of the hole. They don't need somebody to really like stand up in pass protection for 3 seconds, right? They just need someone that's gonna clear a lane and boom, move on. we're gonna list some of those guys here. And yeah, so far, don't know if there's an all pro in here. Don't know if there's a even a guy like a Josh Connerly that I loved last year, even though he was a little lower on the board than most guys. But there's some interesting names here. So you want to dive right in?
Let's do it, man. This is meat and potatoes, and this is my dessert, and this is my.
This is all we need. So number one, I'm gonna again give a little background on the guys. Ben's gonna give his kind of scouting report again from the eyes of a guy who's watching college football every week, and then I'm gonna come in as a guy that's like purely just watching the games, film perspective. Sometimes have to resort to actually watching the games on YouTube, which is a slog sometimes, man. Having to watch these offenses. We're gonna get to Penn State and how they run their offense. It's time for my yearly rant about Penn State's offense, but that comes a little later. First off, Spencer Fano, offensive tackle, right tackle out of Utah. He's a junior at 6'6", 308 pounds, entering his third year as the starter as a true junior, spending his freshman year as the team's left tackle, actually, before switching sides as a sophomore. He's from Spanish Fork, Utah. He attended Tip View High School in Provo, where he was a four-star recruit. He was 247's seventh-ranked tackle, first-ranked player in the state, and 42nd player overall in the nation. Ben, Spencer Fano, what are your initial thoughts?
So my initial thoughts are that I love him, but I love him with an asterisk. Okay, I really, really, really like this guy. It took me all of 30 seconds to just absolutely fall in love with this guy. But I don't think he's necessary. He could work for every team, but I do think that he would bonus up on some teams versus others. So I would caution, you mentioned it before, know what your team likes and make sure that this guy is purely going to fit that and that you're not going to use him in a slightly different way. So I really love him. But just be careful with that. So here we go. I don't have as many notes on him because I just liked him so quick, but I did grab quite a few notes here. So borderline elite athleticism as a zone run blocker. That was the first thing I noticed is that when he can run block fine in a stationary spot. But the very second he moves out there, and he can move all the way out there to the boundary, he does it quick. He sets out there and he blocks out there, and then he blocks somebody else out there. I I hesitated to call it elite athleticism for a tackle, but it might be. If it's not, it's borderline.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
just absolutely instantly fell in love with that. And if that's what your team needs, he will do that until the end of time for 10 or 12 years, and he will be amazing at that. All right. So that's the part I really fell in love with real fast. And again, he's fine back at normal blocking, but it's another whole level. It's an entire different world when he goes out there on that zone blocking or blocking for screens, you name it. He can get
Yep.
out there.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. And the Baylor tape where he was playing left tackle, he really struggled out there. It wasn't dreadful, it wasn't bad, but it just wasn't the same. It didn't
Mm-hmm.
look as good as it looked over at right tackle. So he was fine there at left tackle for Baylor against Baylor, but there he does give up ground at times. But eventually he'll hold up. It's not like he gets
Yeah.
shoved all the way back into the quarterback, and that's not even every play. I just did notice a handful of times where you can push him back if you've got a really strong defensive end.
Mm-hmm.
That can happen, but eventually he will find his ground and hold it up. If he gets beat in pass blocking, it's usually inconsistent hands and feet. So I noticed at times
Yeah.
just a little sloppy, a little inconsistent, and I'm not sure what causes that because really, it honestly feels like he's got everything he needs. So now I'm wondering, does he just need more practice time there at right tackle, game time? Does he need to
Mm-hmm.
focus a little better? I'm not sure. It's not every game, it's not every quarter. But just from time to time, I notice sloppy hands, sloppy feet, and he gets beat. And I'm like, I'm not even sure why. It wasn't always against the most talented guys.
Yeah.
So I did notice that. But again, I really like this guy. I'm somewhere in the first round on him. I just don't think I'm top 10 on him.
Yeah. The idea of is a road grading elite run blocking right tackle the guy you take first in a draft class. I mean, this happened with like, and it was funny this comparison, but J.C. Latham when he was the second tackle drafted
Yeah.
in 2024, 23, 24. He goes after Alt, who we knew was number one, and then I was like, okay, what's your flavor, right? Is
Mm-hmm.
it is it Latham, who everyone kept saying was a road grader because he's big, but really he was smooth, steady pass protector, like great anchor, like a really good pass pro, but just smooth. Is it Fuaga, who's similar to Fano, where it's just like mean, just like gonna put people in the dirt? Or is it Fautano, who's like quick and feisty and will put you down, but he's like a little undersized? So like what's the flavor? And we saw the league, i.e. the Tennessee Titans, lean pass pro, right?
Yeah.
Now listen, Fuaga was awesome and he actually switched sides better than JC Latham did in New Orleans. But like the tape and the scouting coming out in the draft was Latham is the pass pro guy out of those three because of the size and smoothness and anchor. So take him. So we'll get into like where those comparisons are. But to me, Fano has the most superior superpower of these 10, 11 guys we're going to talk about in some capacity tonight, which is he is the best at one thing, and it is run blocking, and he could do it
Yep.
in any way. You
Yep.
mentioned the getting out in space, and it's funny like there's different forms of athleticism, right? So like he might not run the fastest 40 or have the best three cone, but the balance that he has out there in space,
Yep.
combined with just enough foot speed, and then the elite tenacity, because you mentioned it like passport, like he can get pushed back. He doesn't have the best natural anchor. He's 308 pounds. Like that's not very big. That's pretty light for a tackle
Right.
these days. You wouldn't know it by watching him. He's putting guys in underground in with his blocking the way he does it. He's so strong. He's so physical. Very good mover. And I think that like mixing up of hands and feet, because I saw that too. That's a great point. I think it's because I think you see that when it's not the true A plus foot speed specifically from an athletic standpoint. But he's so well balanced that he always finds a way to like counter that. So I actually have a few examples here. So we're gonna go through. I played these while Ben was talking. But right tackle here, you're just gonna see him. He blocks a guy, takes him out of the club, throws him off the screen. Again, climbs to the second level, engages the linebacker, plays past the whistle, plays through the echo of the whistle. Here at right tackle again, just second level, pushes a defensive lineman 3, 4 yards back, plays through the end, gets to the linebacker after. Here, out in space, he just seals number 13, I think, down here. Again, two plays in pass pro right here. I want to play that one again. Got two pass blocking reps here. The run blocking reps, you guys get it. He's just putting guys down as hard as he can. Here in pass pros, where Ben's talking about, he gets a little flustered, or not flustered, but his feet aren't perfect. But he's using his hands really well. He's using two hands together, and then he's using independent hands to keep that defender off of his chest. So while his feet aren't super in place, his anchor's not super in place, he's at least keeping the hands off of him so he can keep going. All right. And now on this rep, he stays engaged with the defender while his feet are moving smoothly. Okay. But that is a fast edge rusher who gets a good dip on him. But he's moving his feet just fast enough and staying on balance. He's just able to push him up the arc behind the quarterback. A combination of things there for Fano, specifically that superpower of just he's always going to get push. He's always going to get leverage. He's going to get under a defender when he needs to. He's going to get on top of a guy when he needs to. That ability to stay on balance and make contact out at the second and third level, that's the stuff that I talk about, Ben, when I'm talking about an offensive lineman going from a B plus to an A or an A to an A plus. Like the elite of elite guys, that's the skill that separates them. And I don't know if he's going to be that because I don't know if the pass pro is ever going to be where a Tristan Wirfs or a Trent Williams or a Joe Alt are, but he has that like superpower skill. That would be fun, actually. I'll have to go back through my notes from the summer. Which guys are so good at run blocking? They are really good in space, but maybe they're not the same pass protector guys. And then what level is that, and what's the value of that? And where would that be drafted? That sounds like a good study for me for the middle of the night. Um, Really like Fano. He is my OT one right now, which I'm sure you guessed just because again you mentioned it. Like I watched that. I already forget what game it was. BYU. It was last year's BYU game. So end of the year, BYU was highly ranked at that time. And like the first play, he's just taking a dude 30 yards from the play because he's refusing to stop blocking. I was like, oh great, this is my guy. I hadn't found my guy yet. I hadn't gotten to Fano until later in this round of watching guys, but this is my guy. I'm so pumped. So what I want to see this year. Actually, let me ask you this. Let me be a good host. I'm just getting excited now. What do you want to see this year? What are you looking for from Fano to maybe try to cement himself as OT1 or be that top five pick that you're talking about. We're not sure we have yet.
Yeah, if he could crisp up the pass blocking, then that would launch him up in the top 15, top 10 for me. I already love him, right?
Hmm.
And I think you made a great point about, it's real easy to pick the guy who's great at everything and say, well, I'll take that guy first overall. But what if nobody's great at everything and you have different skill sets? Well, I tend to like the pass protecting guy. That's not
Hmm.
necessarily him, but he's so good. You mentioned it, the superpower. He's so good at the run blocking, and he's pretty solid at the pass protection that I really like this guy up there somewhere, but it will depend on the team. If I want my offensive line to have that identity, right? So if we're building an offensive line that needs to pass protect so we can pass downfield because we got a quarterback with a big arm, I might steer away from him and go grab one of the other pass protecting guys. But if we've already got a pretty solid offensive line, and I'd just like us to be a little bit better in the run game, especially with kind of the flexing out run game where we do some creative stuff, this is the guy. This is the guy I'm going to grab up as quick as I can. But I would like to see the pass protection be a little bit better.
We always gravitate to like the Shanahan McVay guys for zone blocking. So I'm trying to think about we have so many new OCs this year. I wonder who's going to be the like real zone blocking kind of savants next year who could be drafting in the top 10 or 12. I mean, this is so early to be trying to do a mock draft right now or something like that.
I mean, I
I
think
mean,
Liam Cohen would do some of that, right? So he would mix in a good bit of that.
that would be fun. That would be fun. I like that one. My first thought was Seattle, but they gave Abraham Lucas a little bit of a contract, I think. So I don't think that's going to happen.
They won't
All
be
right, all
there,
right.
but if the Dolphins front office and head coach were there, they
Lordy.
they could grab this guy too.
Well,
Yep.
they wouldn't. They wouldn't. They wouldn't take an offensive lineman in the first round. So maybe
No, they
whoever's
wouldn't.
there
Yeah.
next will. Ben, if I see Savanea and Fano playing next to each other, I'm gonna need a cold shower, brother. It's gonna be a huge problem. And Aaron Brewer right there too, if he sticks
Oh
around.
yes.
Oh, lordy,
We're
lordy,
nerding out
lordy.
here, y'all. I'm sorry. This is
All
some
right.
real we are nerding out.
Yeah, I just messed up the screen on YouTube because I got so excited. All right. Hopefully you guys are getting a little insight into what this show is about. Let's get to number two here. Caden Proctor, offensive tackle, left tackle out of Alabama. He's a true junior entering his third year as the starting left tackle for the Crimson Tide. As a recruit and potential transfer last January, he had commitments to Iowa both times. So coming out of high school and again as a transfer, he technically did transfer to Iowa and then he transferred back to Alabama like within a month. That's sketchy. Uh, but chose Alabama both times. This is interesting. Also, we mentioned this name a few times already. Tristan Wirfs went to Iowa, so like Iowa went after this guy, and they wanted, they've had Tristan Wirfs in the building, so they've had good OTs, so they know what they're looking at. Proctor was a 5-star recruit via 247 and the number one tackle in the 2023 class. He was the first ranked player from Iowa and the fifth ranked player overall in the country. Out of Des Moines, Iowa, he attended Southeast Polk High School in Pleasant Hill. Ben, talk to me about Caden Proctor.
Really like him. There's some things I'll mention that I don't like, but I really do. This is the guy that's got the highest ceiling award for me. Okay. I could see this guy. We'll talk about that in a second, but he got the in honor of you and Peyton show where y'all do the award show once a month. This is the guy that's got the highest ceiling award. I don't think he's hit it yet. I don't think he's even close. He may never get there, but I see the potential. All right, here we go. A lot of notes on him. Enormous body. Just first of all, this guy has an enormous, enormous, enormous
My
body.
first note as well, massive. Just
Yes,
that one
yes.
word. Yep.
So what is he? 6'8" and well over
Oh,
300.
I was
Good.
writing these down at some point. I guess I
Yeah,
just don't
I
say sizes anymore. Look at me. But yeah,
I
he's
lost track.
six. I think 6'7", 340 is what he's listed at.
He's massive. Okay. He looks like he has long arms too. Like
Oh
he's
yeah.
not short arm. He looks like he has long arms to go with the big body. So, when I watch him, moves really, really well in small areas. So, like when he's moving side to side, I like that. I thought the feet looked quick right there. Um, Very smooth and very quick feet for a guy his size. I like that. He often spins and twists. He has a weird kind of a way that he just spins and twists people onto the ground and
Hmm.
pancakes them. It's not even like he's two arming them to the ground. He's just kind of spinning and tossing them on the ground. Then he just kind of lands on them. So not the only guy that does that, but I've seen him several times throw pancakes down on guys. So that's cool. Now, he is strong. I want to be careful about that. But
Hmm.
he's not as strong as I expected for his
Hmm.
body type. I really expected him to just crush people constantly, and he doesn't always. He does get pushed back a little bit at times,
Hmm.
surprisingly enough. And maybe that's just him not, maybe he's struggling to get low enough because he is so tall and so large. Maybe that's him losing the leverage battle a little bit. That may not be a strength thing, that may be a leverage thing, but I did see that at times. Um, Often holds or gets hands to the face for no reason. He doesn't even need to. On a lot of these
Hmm.
plays, I'll see him rather sloppily. He doesn't usually get called for it in college. He probably will at the pro level. But I
Yep.
did see him at times holding on to guys for no reason and putting hands to the face for no reason. He already basically had the guys blocked. So just needs to tighten that up a little bit. He has a slow first step to me. I saw him several times kind of being the last guy to start. It's like the offensive line and defensive line both had started. He can be beat off the edge by guys with a swim, duck, or hand slap kind of a move. I saw that
Hmm.
quite a bit. He's very good. I really like him. I like his pass coverage. I like his run blocking. I want to stress that. I really, really like Caden Proctor, but I'm looking for flaws, right?
Yep.
And one flaw is he can be beat off the edge by a guy who's got
Hmm.
a nice hand slap or duck move. Again, he's so tall. If you're a smaller guy and you don't get crushed by him, you can slip past him.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I saw that as well. What else? Okay, yeah, this is so insulting. So I'm sorry. Here it comes. Okay, here's the Dr. Seuss reference. Uh, he reminds me of Horton Hears a Who. He does not seem to have a mean streak. Okay, so
Mm.
for those of you who've never read the book, there's a Dr. Seuss book called Horton Hears a Who, and it's about an elephant who's very large, and he's just really the nicest guy ever, and he's warm and cuddly, and all he wants to do is get along with everything and everybody. And I'm not saying that he isn't physical because he is physical. I
Right.
just haven't really seen him get mean and nasty the way I would like my offensive lineman to do. I actually see more of him helping people up off the ground than I do.
Uh-huh.
He's perfectly willing to throw you on the ground and sit on
Right.
you, but I just don't see the mean streak here in this guy. So really love him. I've got him in the first round somewhere. I think he could even be a top five guy if he starts crushing it at Alabama this year.
Hmm.
But there are some flaws that kind of hold that back so far.
Yeah, he's also the guy I think I had the most notes written on. And it's interesting because, you see a guy that's this size, and I saw somebody interviewed Nick Saban. Forget if it was Sa I mean, I guess Saban's year was Proctor's freshman year, so I forget if it was about him coming into that year or if they were asking Saban on set one day, like maybe what he's seen since like he's left kind of deal when he like saw him at practice or something. And he's just like, well, he's still big. It's like, oh, that when you get comments like that,
Mm.
and then yeah, you like kind of watch the tape and you're thinking he's not 100% there, right? Like viewers and listeners right now might be hearing like, okay, huge guy who's not 100% there. Oh, he's just like relied on his strength and he's actually raw technique wise. He's really not. Like
Right.
he's
No.
pretty good at everything,
Right.
which is interesting. I always do wonder another like philosophical thing. I always wonder for the guys that make it, right? How much focus on all of one thing and then another, or like just get a little bit better every day at everything, right? Because like yes, he doesn't play to 6'7", 340 on every rep, but there are plenty of reps that he does it,
Yes.
right?
A
He
lot.
doesn't play to having elite footwork for that size on every rep, but he does it. Yeah, he
Yes.
can get beat off the edge, but he can also keep up with a guy on the edge just enough. What I saw a lot from a few of these guys is moving up the edge, moving up the arc just enough, and then just using their long arms to get one little push, right? At that
Mhm.
moment where that edge rusher would be able to get even their hand on the back of the quarterback, even just to disturb him a little bit. They're like the tackle is just thinking, I'm just gonna stay close. It's like a I don't know if marathon runners do it, but like a cross country runner, right? Or a long distance runner. I'm gonna stay just close enough to you that then I'm gonna sprint at the end, right? I'm not the best distance runner. You're gonna be ahead of me by 10 to 15 meters, but I'm gonna sprint that last leg and I'm gonna catch you, right? Okay, my foot speed isn't quite enough. I'm gonna stay close to you just enough, and then I'm just gonna use my long arms and get a good push in at the end, right when I need to. he does all of that. He pushes guys down the line. He puts dudes on their back, like you said. Um, but it's just not all there, which is why, yeah, that high ceiling at that size, footwork, left tackle, Alabama, like it screams like there's still more potential here. So here's some of the film. Um, Good balance in his steps and hands and feet working together in this first rep. Defender gets into his chest here on the second rep, but he reestablishes that anchor well. He does that little hop step and he reestablishes his anchor. Here on that run play, he works up to the linebacker and engages just long enough for that back to get by. Here, he opens up that whole goal line for that touchdown. He just washes that defender out of there. And then here, this last play, he's going to pull from left to right, and he's going to pop 78, that defensive tackle, just enough for that runner to get through. So again, none of those plays were like, oh my gosh, like he put a guy, through the dirt or like he completely washed this guy out. But it's always him doing just enough and in very different situations, all of them. So it's not even like, oh, he's like just barely getting by. It's like, no, it's almost like an understanding. Like Fuaga had one of these too, where he would do, what was his move that he would do? He would take like a really big first step, I think, because he knew he didn't have the best foot speed. I think I'm remembering the right person. He would take a really big first kick out because he was like, I can stay on balance and I can get my hands on him. And if I take a big kick out, I don't have to have perfect footwork all the way through. And so Proctor's doing a little bit of that. Oh, what are my limitations? Okay, let me work with that each time. So there's a lot of stuff about Proctor that I really, really like. Um, and yeah, I agree. Like just with that size and everything, and that he does play pretty smooth. I think it's just about can he play to that size while also maintaining balance, right? I don't want him to get overly aggressive and lose balance because that's gonna hurt him more than what he's just doing right now, right? Maybe if he gets more aggressive, that ceiling goes up even higher. He reaches that ceiling more, but maybe he's gonna have more bad moments. Um, I want him to still play within himself and just stay balanced as he continues to like work on his speed, or does he? I hate doing stuff like this, but like lose 5 pounds just so he could be a little bit smoother at the NFL level, right? Like whatever it is. But yeah, I think there's a lot to like here. Lock first round for sure. And then it's just about, yeah, how high can he go and who needs a left tackle that can do a little bit of everything and kind of mold him from there.
Yeah, my final thought on him is I probably sounded too harsh in my analysis of
No,
him, but
I don't
that's
think so.
really I think that's playing to the crowd because so often, in the draft world, we hear guys kind of wax eloquent about a guy, and it can all be true, but there are blemishes too to be dealt with. And it doesn't mean you wouldn't draft the guy, it doesn't mean he
Right.
can't start for you or star for you. It's just, oh, by the way, there are some blemishes. And I honestly feel like if Nick Saban had still been the head coach at Alabama these past couple of seasons, or if Proctor had gone to Iowa, that a lot of this stuff would be cleaned up. I think you would have a much crisper version of this guy. He would be more dominant. He would be more top 10 material, which he may be anyway, but he would be more top 10 lock material. And more of us would be just can't wait to get our hands on this guy because he is not raw. He is not a project. I want to be
Right.
clear on that.
Hmm.
He's got a lot of good stuff going for him, and I really like him. But there are flaws in his game that at the NFL level he would need to work on them at least in order to be what we think he might could be.
And like maybe he's Paris Johnson Jr., who like wasn't as big, but like was big and athletic and like pretty good at everything. And he's just steadily
Yeah,
gotten better each
right.
year. There's like Charles Cross. Charles Cross probably had a little more room to grow than a Johnson or even Proctor. But like sometimes left tackles are just pretty good coming out and they get a little better every year and they're just pretty good for 10
Yeah,
to 12 years. Jake
right.
Matthews or Colton Miller, and like you and I love those guys. So like, maybe that's fine. Uh we love offensive linemen, man. This is so great. All right, number 3 here, Caleb Lomu, offensive tackle out of Utah. Redshirt sophomore, entering his second year as the starter for Utah. 6'6", 308 pounds, which I think is the exact same as Fano, which is funny. He's from Gilbert, Arizona, where he attended Highland High School. He was a 4-star recruit on 247, where he was ranked the second highest player in the state, 14th highest offensive tackle in the nation. Talk to me about Caleb Lomu, the left tackle out of Utah.
Here's another guy I really like. I've got him in the first round. I think without even getting in the notes yet, I think this guy could plug in at left tackle and be the guy for a very long time. I don't think I have him at all pro level. I'm just not there, but I think I could see him collecting some Pro Bowls and just really locking down left tackle once he gets settled in with your team is where I'm at. So here's the stuff. Physical. The Utah guys are just physical. I think every player on
Hmm.
their team is physical. I don't think they bring anybody on campus who's not going to be physical. And I think if they, figure out he's not physical, they're just not going to have him on campus, right? But he's physical, puts people on the ground. I saw that a lot. Boy, he can put people on the ground. Not maybe as often as a couple of these other guys we're talking about tonight, but he'll put people on the ground quite a bit. Where am I at here? I like his hands and feet, both. I really do. I thought he could, you know, do very well either way, both the hands and the feet. I just really thought it was a good mix there. Blocks at second level, he's not anywhere near as athletic as his right tackle counterpart, Fano, but still he can go out there, especially going straight ahead to second level, collect all the
Hmm.
blocks you need
Yep.
out there. He has that in spades. Good anchor. I just really thought, generally speaking, I didn't see him get pushed back very much. He's got a real good anchor. I just thought he holds it down. And, for left, I can handle my right tackle not necessarily anchoring as well if he's got the athleticism. I would prefer that my left tackle be able to lock it down. I
Hmm.
really, really need him to do that. We'll get all the fancy run blocking from the guards, the centers, and the right tackle. I really want my left tackle to anchor down, to be honest. I don't want that to disappear. He can do that frequently, and I mean a lot. Frequently pulls all the way across to block on the right side. I mean, they do that a
Hmm.
lot with him.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's just standard procedure for him at Utah. And he often stifles defensive end momentum at the line. This is an interesting thing. Not everybody does it. Instead of backing up and trying to kind of catch a guy
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
spin him, slow him down, footwork him, hand him, I frequently see him just stay right up there at the line. He's
Yeah.
not budging, and he just stops a guy stone cold at the line before the defensive end gets any momentum at all. And I kind of wish more offensive linemen would do it, but maybe they don't quite have the footwork to recover and keep the edge. He does. He's good at footwork. He's good at his hands, but he will stop those edges right there at the line. And not every play, but I saw him do that a lot. Let's see. He can be beat by extremely quick edges. I did see that. If you're quick, and the NFL is full of these small, quick edges, right? So you can
Hmm.
beat him that way. That's not saying anything new, but you can. Again, I wrote Pro Bowl, not All Pro, and often plays on an island with no help. For me, that's a really big key, especially for my left tackle. If I'm looking for the left tackle of the future, I really need to know they can do it by themselves. Why would I spend a top 20 draft pick on you if I've got to put a tight end on your side half the game?
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
so aggravating to me. But they leave him out there a lot by himself on an island, and he handles business. So I really like this guy. Again, I'm not sure I'm predicting an all pro or a Hall of Famer here, but I could be talked into drafting him top 10, top 12, top 15 because I think he can lock it down based on what I've seen.
Yeah, dude, we're in lockstep so far. This is great because the first things that I said were the first things that you said, and you kept coming back to the concept was nice hand use and strong anchor, which
Yeah.
is big. Now, I do think he needs to get stronger overall, especially
Right.
in the
Right.
run game. And you'll see when I pull up the clips here in a minute. Um, he needs to get stronger, and that is a theme for a lot of these offensive linemen in this year's draft compared to some others that we've talked about. But he does have a good, it's that natural anchor. It's that I can sit here and take a body blow and not get pushed back. Now, if you're really coming at me with some like speed to power, some momentum, and then you get right into his chest, or you really need me to be this isn't the correct, but like the catapult, the to push, right, the piston to push the power through. I don't have that strength necessarily, but he has a natural anchor and he has that nice hand usage. I have multiple clips here where he's immediately getting hands on edge rushers. And yeah,
Yeah.
like you're saying, stifle them at the beginning.
Yeah.
Let's just get right into the film because you got me fired up about this one. I like Lomu a lot. I wasn't as fired up until you started talking about him. We could talk about some of this stuff specifically here. So here he gets good push in the run game. He actually goes right up the middle, which is interesting. Now, if he could engage a little bit longer on that first block, His running back would have had even more room. I'm going to play that first
Yeah.
one again.
Yeah.
Um, he goes from left tackle right up the middle, and he creates that first run lane, right? He's right here. He creates that first run lane, but his linebacker that he's on eventually sheds the block. That when I'm talking about players needing to get stronger in the run game, it's not always that initial push, but it's that inability to sustain a block through the play. So Fano, we saw him extending the same block through two plays in a row, essentially, right? For how long he was blocking for. Lomu, he can get there and he can make that initial engagement, but those guys can fall off the blocks. If he could have held that a little longer, that might have been a more guaranteed first down there. But he made the strength and he had the footwork to get up the middle and make that play. Now, here's what we're talking about with hand use. Watch him. His hands are already fired up on this defender here, and none of these other offensive linemen are. He immediately swipes that edge rusher's hands down and puts him in the dirt. When you can counter punch quickly like that, you can take away the hands of the edge rusher. You've taken down their defenses, and you're the big 6'6", 300-pound tackle, and that's a 260-pound edge rusher. You could put him on the ground the way he did here. Just punch down, boom, get him on the ground, land on top of him. Flat arm. You love that for an offensive lineman. Just like a belly flop in the pool on top of a guy. Like that's where you want to be at the end of a play. Here, in play number three, good push and seal to make this play for the outside run. He turns his defender in to create that outside rush lane for the running back there. That's good. You like to see that. This next play here, hands are strong and he stays balanced enough here in pass pro, but his feet are stalling, right? So you can see when his feet stall, he's starting to lean a little bit, but he's got good hand use. He's hand fighting. He's moving his feet just enough to where he needs to. He's staying on balance. He's doing a good job there in pass pro. Fano there actually gets beat all the way around the outside, but he did just enough as well. And then here he knocks edge rusher hands down again and then re-engages. So he gets his hands back on him this time, and all while his feet are moving smoothly. So we're finishing this fourth play here again, and then this last one, punch, boom, hands back on, feet don't stop at all, and he keeps that defender at bay. So there's a lot of good technique stuff here. There's a lot of good smoothness stuff I like here. There's a lot of good natural strength and ability that I like here. And yeah, man, if he just gets a little bit stronger, and it doesn't even mean like it's not like Fano where we're talking about like his anchor is a little light, and like I would want to see him maybe get some more lower. You just look at the way these guys are built too. Now we really sound like old scouts, man, because we're talking about like body beautiful and like the way these guys are built. They're both listed at 308. They carry it very differently. Lomu is like big hips and big trunk, and like he's got the sand in his pants. That's already there. I need stronger hands. I need stronger upper body to sustain blocks all the
Yeah.
way through. Fano, he's got no problem holding on, man. He will take you for a ride. I want to see him be able to sit down and anchor a little bit more. I'm getting jacked up now, man. 38 minutes into the podcast. We're rolling. We're good to go. So Lomu I really like. Lomu might be a guy where maybe he doesn't have the highest ceiling, but maybe he has the highest likelihood of being really good for a long time because he has all those like natural things on both pass pro and run blocking that I don't think it'll take much for him to like unlock a whole another level, right? Like if you're playing a
Yeah.
video game, he's got enough experience points where you only got to play for a little bit to get him to that next stage, whereas some of these other guys, like maybe it's going to take a little bit longer.
You and I are bound out of the 10 guys we've got tonight to have one guy that we're just major going to disagree on and be like polar opposites because so far, the first three, we see them the same way. Everything you just said about him that's holding him back from being an elite guy or a high ceiling guy is 100% true. I'm across the board with you all the way there. Like we really like him, but there are things that keep him from being that elite level. And he kind of would have to max out the strength and everything to even push elite because I'm just not sure he's got quite that level of talent.
Right.
But I'm not sure I need it either. If he locks down left tackle and collects a couple of Pro Bowls over the years for me, that's good enough. I'll be very happy with that. I will. That's fine. If I can get the Hall of Famer, I'll take it. But if not, this is great. I'm very excited about this. But really like him. Maybe not the highest ceiling, but this guy should be really good for a long time.
Again, to use that video game reference, yeah, what's his max strength at that can be reached, right? Not everybody has a max ability of 99 at
Hmm.
every skill, right? Is his just an 85? Is it
Right.
just like he can be good, but it's never going to be elite. Like we'll see. One other thing you mentioned, oh, the like left tackle, right tackle thing.
Yes.
We have moved on, which is great, from the idea of the left tackle being like the premier position and right tackle just like, throw anybody there, unless you're
Right.
Shanahan and just like giving Colt McKivitz more and more extensions because you can. Shout out Colt McKivitz, man, that boy's getting it. But anyways, the idea of like your left tackle needing to be good and your right tackle being so like that's done, right? Like T.J. Watt, Micah Parsons, Trey, like people are lining up on both sides. Both tackles are important. Penei Sewell, Lane Johnson, elite right tackle, so important to what you can do. But I think anchoring specifically that skill that you're talking about is the one thing that if I need to pick, right? And it's because that's simple. And we're on YouTube now, so I get to do this. This is great. So like if I'm a right-handed quarterback, like I like 29 or 30 quarterbacks, starting quarterbacks in the NFL, and my right tackle doesn't have the best anchor, I can literally see that, right? So it's not just the idea of like, oh, seeing pressure. There's always pressure. These quarterbacks know they have to get the ball out in 3.5 seconds, right? But I can see it and then I can maneuver, right? It's the idea of, okay, step back, whatever, right? Duck under, go.
Right.
That guy behind you is literally behind you. So it's not just that there's pressure, it's that you don't know exactly which way it's coming from. So that ability to anchor on the left side is the one differentiating skill, I would say. Like your right tackle can't just be a run blocker anymore. They still have to be good at pass protection. And everybody knows that. And we now pay those good right tackles, which is great. But yeah, anchoring specifically is the one thing you want on that blind side. Who thought Lomu was going to be the guy that really got us going? I didn't see that coming, but that was a ball. I had a good. Is like your is it just like a intelligence like inquisitive like interest thing in him that you have, or do you kind of have him ranked number one? Would you call him OT1 out of these top three guys?
I I would call him the safest bet out of these top
Okay,
three to hold it down for a long time.
got it.
And that's maybe most well balanced out of the three guys so
Hmm.
far.
Hmm.
I'm not sure I don't emotionally I love him the least out of the three. Emotionally I'm attached to Fano, you know?
Yeah,
Like give me
yeah,
Fano. Oh wow, look
yeah,
at that guy. Look at
yeah.
that.
That's
But there
where
are
I'm at,
flaws,
but yeah,
Yes.
that's where I'm at. That first play, man, when I saw Founder just like
I know.
block a guy 30 yards out of camera frame. I was love at first sight. All right, number four here, Francis Mauigoa, offensive tackle out of Miami. He's entering his third year as a starting right tackle for the Hurricanes. At 6'6", 315 pounds, he comes from he's American Samoa, attended high school at the IMG Academy. He was a five-star recruit, second overall offensive tackle, and second overall player in Florida, and the sixth overall player in the nation in the 2023 class. So super, super highly recruited. Ben, what do you think about Francis Mauigoa from Miami?
First impulse, I really like him. I probably don't maybe like him quite as much as some other people that I've heard, but that, those opinions are all fluid, right? Mine and theirs both. Just at a glance, I've got him somewhere between a solid starting right tackle to a Pro Bowl level right tackle. I don't yet view him as an all pro, but that could change too during this year at Miami. So here come the notes. And some of these notes contradict each other, oddly enough. I found some contradictions when I was writing these notes. So, enjoy the ride, I guess. First of all, I love the strength. I thought he showed good strength in most of what he does. So I like the strength. I love the balance.
Yes.
He rarely seems off balance. He usually seems in control. He really seemed like between his strength, his hands, and his feet, he was always just managing things, comfortably managing things. And I thought, well, that just looks really nice to me on as a right tackle, not a dominant left, but as just a nice right tackle. This looks really good. Pass block, run block. I just he always seemed like he's just kind of in control, managing things. So that stood out right there. Good athleticism, but not elite. Just not elite level athleticism, but he's got plenty of it. He can move around. Sometimes he's blocking two people. I saw him more than once block two people at the same time. It's almost like he was getting double teamed as an offensive lineman, and he was blocking both of them. That not didn't happen often, but I did see it. I wrote arm length question mark. He looks to me, and I could be wrong. He looks to me like the arms are a little short.
Hmm.
Again, he's playing well. Whatever his arm length is, he's playing well. But it did look like the arm length might be a little short to me. He's aggressive and he's smart. I thought when I just watched him play, this looked like a guy who was very smart. Um, Here's an odd thing. Falls down sometimes reaching for someone who's just not there anymore. I noticed that more than once. Him reaching for a block that the guy was gone. You know, he's even falling down on the play. He's not tripping over anybody. He's not getting hit from behind. He's just literally falling over because he's trying to block somebody who's not there anymore. I noticed that a few times as well. Not a major thing, just did see it. I enjoyed his pass blocking work. I think that's what I like best about him. He just seems like he's really smooth at pass blocking. Not always, but generally speaking, he's managing that. He's holding his own, so I like the pass blocking work there. I did notice Miami usually ran to the left instead of behind him. Miami
Hmm.
really liked running the ball over the left a lot. They did not tend to run behind him. So, I always wonder who's the when they need those consistent yards, who do they want to go behind?
Yeah.
It's generally not him. I think he is better as a zone run blocker than as a stationary guy, which is often why they're not running behind him. He's not bad at stationary run blocking. He's fine at that. But I think he's just better when he gets out in space and can move around. Now, I don't think he can hold a candle athletically to Spencer Fano from Utah, who gets way out there at the boundary and way up there at 30 yards, and he's just all over the freaking place. He can almost go anywhere a tight end can go, right? Maui Goa does not have that, but he did look more comfortable to me as less even zone, but stretch run blocking almost. They're stretching the
Hmm.
side. He seemed like he could just really move over, reestablish. I thought he looked comfortable doing that. So again, some of that contradicts each other a little bit. I generally like what I see here. I want him in the first round, but I've seen people that have him as the number one tackle in the class, and I see people who have him going top five, top 10 overall, and I'm just not that excited about him. I think he has limits, and I've settled on him as a good guy who could get even better, but just not elite.
Yeah, I'm in line with you on a lot of this stuff. The first time I watched him, I was definitely more excited than the second time through. Um, Let me check something here. Yeah, when I first watched and I watched Proctor and then I watched him. So I think it was that difference of like a guy who hasn't reached his ceiling yet, and then a guy who like maybe has reached his
Maybe
ceiling.
he
And
has.
so I
Yeah,
think you feel that when you're watching. And so
right.
that I think that naturally brought something to me. But then when I watched again, I was like, okay, like there's not that many wow plays.
Hmm.
Um, but very well balanced was my first note as well. And gosh, I wrote down so many of the things you said. So here, there's one time where I wrote it here in my notes, but also in the film breakdown, there's an example of this. He can use independent hands for like a quick punch, like well timed, and it always seems very calculated because it's much rarer that he does that than just the classic, like, I'm gonna get two hands on you and I'm gonna do what I can, right? It's almost like I wouldn't be surprised if it was like really advanced film study that he's doing on like when this edge rusher is lining up across from me and he does this thing and it's on this type of play where like this is how deep my pass set is, that's when I can use this punch because I know my limits and I know what he's gonna
Yeah.
do and that's when I'll break it out because he did it very rarely. I watched the Virginia Tech game from last year. Um, but other than that, like he's much more comfortable just like let me get my two hands out and I'll get there when I get there and we'll be okay. He is a classic example of what I talked about where it's like I'm gonna let my feet do just enough and then I'll try to get one push at the end. And I think that's what you were talking about with the like sometimes
Yeah.
he's just
Yeah.
throwing for guys that aren't there. Like he's just like, I'm gonna try to get to that spot and I'm gonna throw my hands out and I'm gonna hope that guy is still there. And like usually he is, but
Yeah.
sometimes he's not
Yeah.
gonna be. I saw what you saw. Like I think I have five or six. I have six plays. I have six plays that I'll go through next. One of them is run blocking, and boy, it's a good one. It's a fun one. But the rest are in pass pro. So I agree. I try to just look up like Miami's other offensive linemen, and they've got like a JUCO transfer at left tackle this year. Like I don't even know who was their left tackle. So like I don't know if it has to do with. I mean, like it's a different quarter. Like I don't know. I don't know what the reason for that would be, other than like it's just like not his bag, which is limiting and concerning. Like you wonder, 6'6", 315, is he going to end up being like a? just like a kind of stationary guard that can like you can pull him from one side to the other, but like you're not.
Right.
But again, like he is good in space. Like he can get out there and make contact in space. So you want to utilize that. But anyways, here's Malco. Here's some film. So we're out here at right tackle on number two. Strong hands and base allow him to keep pass rusher firmly in place. Here he mirrors the defender really well on that rep. The defender makes starts outside, makes an inside move. He mirrored that really well. Here on this last play, nice use of independent hands, and he pushes that defender up the arc away from Cam Ward. So let me do those two plays again because we're talking about specific technique stuff here. All right, so he's over here on the right side, 61. Boom. Edge rusher hit him with a spin move, and he stayed balanced. He tried to get him out there before he hit the spin to stop him. The spin happens, but he stays well balanced. He gets inside and he keeps that defender at bay pretty easily. Here, boom, does the same thing. He's just moving his feet, and let me get one last little push, give Cam Ward some space. Um, Here, passes off defender and keeps his hands engaged while that's happening, and that edge rusher is going side to side, trying to get anywhere, and he's not getting any room. Here, he's got one of those speedy edge rushers. So 17 is just like, I'm just going to try to run past you. Nope. I'm just going to keep my hands on you as best I can. And now here I am on the move. Here's my one run block and rep. Let me get you. Boom. Launches that guy up in the air. Like that defender stood no chance and flew back about 7 yards in the air. Wow. And then of course Maui also falls down. It took him a minute to get up after that rep. I'm not gonna lie. He kind of sat there for a minute, which dude, I fully understand. Um, so there's good stuff. There's good stuff, but like I agree. Like you're not seeing the things that are like, and maybe it's ACC, right? Like maybe if he was at an SEC school and he was going against SEC edge rushers, maybe we would see him take a few more chances with the hand fighting. Maybe we would see him do a few more things. So we'll just never know until he eventually gets drafted, or I forget. I mean, he's not going to be at the Senior Bowl where we get those fun reps or anything like that. But he's just a solid guy. Which like, buddy, you if you're a Super Bowl bound team drafting in the 20s, the late 20s,
Yeah.
and you're just like, gosh, we could just use another offensive lineman. Like the Baltimore, I figured it out. The Baltimore Ravens are going to take him and just like, yeah, he's just going to play. He's going to be good. Actually wouldn't hurt my feelings too bad. Yeah, he's not the guy I'm in love with, so we'll see. That means it won't happen, but it'd be that kind of thing. Just like what's a good team that just like needs another body who's just going to be good. Like you don't have to worry about it. That's who Maui Go is going to be. But he's not going to be the we need a multi-time Pro Bowler, high ceiling type of guy.
I'm in the same boat, and all of this is fluid. It can change, but that's my opinion. I thought you made a great point when you mentioned the words calculated and maybe doing extra film study because I classified it as being smart. But football smart is often related to the fact that you've
Hmm.
been doing extra film study. So he does seem a little limited compared to some of these guys, but he seems to be getting the max out of his game. You mentioned that he may have already hit his ceiling, which he may have come pretty close to doing that. But I do feel like this guy feels a need. I'm not emotionally attached to this guy. I don't have to have him in the first round. But like you said, a team that's looking to make a Super Bowl push but needs to upgrade that right tackle spot, this would be the guy. This would definitely be the guy.
All right, next up, Isaiah World. Just like name of the class, by the way. Isaiah World, offensive tackle out of Oregon via Nevada. He's a redshirt senior entering his first year at Oregon. He was a 3-year starter at Nevada, primarily at left tackle. Now at Oregon for his final season to play left tackle, replacing Josh Connerly. He stands 6'8", 318 pounds from San Diego, California, where he attended Lincoln High School. He was a 3-star recruit. Very, not high up on any rankings, but as a transfer, he was a second ranked overall transfer in the country at any position. So like teams wanted this guy, and Oregon had a first round tackle
Yeah.
go to the draft and went and got Isaiah World. I don't know what his NIL deal is, but I'm sure it is nice. Ben, talk to me about Isaiah World out of Oregon.
First of all, quick apology. When I mentioned a while ago that Proctor was 6'8", I was actually thinking about Isaiah World. But you mentioned it, excuse
I'm
me,
very excited to talk
Proctor.
about the differences and how those two carry that
Yes.
height, by the way. Very
Yes.
different.
Proctor's also very tall, not to be too confusing, but I was actually 6'8" is the magic number for Isaiah World. Sorry about my cough here. All right, so He is tall. We've already talked about that, and he is physical. So he does both of those things. I love the way he moves his feet for his size. I don't think he has elite footwork, but for a guy this tall and this big, moves his feet really well, I thought. So I really like that. He can run block for gap or zone, I think. I saw him moving around good enough to block for zone.
Hmm.
I've seen him stay stationary and do just fine. Tremendous work. Stationary blocking. So to me, no matter what running game you want to run with him, he totally fits. And he fits that out of left tackle. So I'm totally fine with any running game you want to put together. I think he can do it. It is tough to get a read on this guy because he played at Nevada, which is a smaller-ish conference level school. And from there, he's moved up to Oregon, which runs a really weird, creative, hybrid, moving, motion, flex offense. It's hard to
Hmm.
get a read on this guy. So everything I say is going to be within that parameter. He can be beat off the edge with speed. He's not the first guy we've said that about tonight, but when guys are this tall, even when they have pretty good footwork, it's just hard to get them fast guys way down there on the ground when they're almost it's like okay, the motorcycles that run the concrete tracks, they're not concrete, whatever they are, the speedways, right? And they
Hmm.
lay those motorcycles sideways almost.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's what some of these fast edge rushers are doing to
Yes.
these tall
Hmm.
tackles. They're just laying down sideways and almost crawling
Yeah.
past, but at a very high speed. It's hard to get that. So he will struggle with that. He can be pushed back sometimes.
Hmm. Hmm.
This guy is huge. I did on occasion. It didn't happen much. He usually does the pushing. But there were guys at both Nevada and at Oregon who can push him. So
Hmm.
just a heads up, while he is usually the dominant physical force, he is not the all-time dominant physical force. There are guys who can push him back a little bit. Okay. Now, he often crushes people and sits on them. Okay. You'll see this a lot. Tiny people, watch out. This guy will literally sit on
Yep.
you. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And regular people, watch out. He will throw you on the ground and sit on you. Okay. A lot. So this guy racks up. The highlight film of Isaiah World is very exciting because that's a lot of what you'll see. But then you have to go back and catch the real stuff on film. But the crushing is fun to watch. Okay, he pulls a lot. They actually pulled him a lot at
Hmm.
Nevada
Hmm.
and at Oregon, but he didn't always get there quick enough. I noticed there were times he struggled to get all the way across the line to his spot, and sometimes even the running back would run into him because he just wasn't over there
Yep.
quick enough. So that's a little bit of a problem if you're trying to do that kind of a pulling stuff. Where else I'm at? He didn't always block his guy when he got there either. I noticed that too. Usually he's blocking his guy, but sometimes he
Hmm.
just straight up misses. Final couple thoughts here. Sometimes he wants to finish the guy way too quickly by just slinging or punching. He's so successful at slinging and punching guys that sometimes he thinks he can just automatically do that and it doesn't
Hmm.
finish the guy off. So he kind of needs to make sure that the guy that he thinks he is crushing is actually crushed before he moves on. Because I did notice him at times moving past that just a little bit. What else? I He's not a project at all. He's got a lot
Yep.
going for him,
Hmm.
but I did notice the Ducks giving him help on the edge already this year when he's playing for
Okay.
Oregon. They're already helping him on the edge, which again, dadgummit, that means they don't trust him over there completely. At the moment, I wrote second round question mark.
Hmm.
I'm still not sure which way to go with him. I like a lot of this. Still working on my thoughts on him though.
Yeah, I'm frustrated he's at Oregon. I haven't watched any stuff from Oregon yet. Again, because I'm not as much the live college viewer, but also just like they're annoying
Right.
to watch their prospects at. So like if I could just watch more of the Nevada tape, I'm gonna lean towards that. I'll check out Oregon at some point later, but they're so frustrating to watch, man. Because yeah, it is that just like it's zoned to the extreme where it's like we're just gonna like all shuffle this way 8 yards, and if somebody's there, I'll push them a little bit, and that's what we do 80% of the time. So it's really frustrating. But
Yeah.
anyways, um, good hand use, long arms, and they get out quick, which is great. Strong at the point of attack. He has strong hands. He could turn a defender however he needs to in the run game once engaged, so no problem there. Decent mover, especially for his size. He can get to the next level and make plays, but yeah, it's not consistent. Strong base. He has that natural anchor. Remember, 6'8" and 318 is kind of a strange body
Hmm.
type, right?
Yeah.
Proctor, we said 6'7", 340. So like the weight, the mass match the overall height. When you're this like long, lanky guy, like think about playing basketball. And man, like I'm already really short, so like everybody was tall for me. But like if I
Yeah.
got in there, man, and there was a tall guy, but he was skinny, I was I was doing the old school box out stuff, man. And I'll get room. You can do that on these 6'8", three
Right.
guys that are under 320 if they're really tall. Yeah, you can get in their chest a little bit just from a like I have this much room to work with, right?
Mhm.
Um, but he does well to kind of get himself reset. He can reset and regroup that anchor, which is impressive at that size. Um, he does tend to lean occasionally, but overall, he's pretty well balanced for his like frame and makeup, which is really good. I honestly forgot he was 6'8" in watching the film because I think he actually this is the difference between him and Proctor. Proctor's 6'7", 340. So again, built in a different way, right? I'm trying to uh, approximate 6'7", 340 with my arms and my body here. You don't have like as much room you have to like kind of make up for, right? Like you are your
Yeah.
body, right? You're there in your space. This is my space. At 6'8", 318, it'd be harder to occupy the same amount of width space. So he actually does. World does a really good job, I think, of actually getting down and creating that anchor, right? Creating that extra mass and being square and being pretty balanced. And then yeah, he stands straight up and you're like, holy crap, this guy's huge. Um, he needs to work a little bit on the finer points of technique, like keeping his feet moving all the time, like always being able to make that contact out in space. Um, you like using his hands every single stuff like that. But he used that size well, and he can counter any issues that will result from his size. A little like Proctor, like I said, I think they do a pretty they get to the same result pretty well, which is they have found ways to work around their like unusual sizes. I think it's not a detriment to them in a way it could be for less refined tackles of the size. Main thing is he just needs to keep his feet moving, especially as defenders get stronger. His feet tend to stall out in the run game and in pass protection. So if he can keep his feet moving, which like, hey, Oregon, like that's all they do, right? So like he'll work on keeping his feet moving. I hope YouTube viewers are enjoying this. Um, let's get to some of the film actually. Let's pull that back up here. So this first one, he works to the second level here. Again, he's playing left tackle. He works to the second level, gets to that linebacker, and man, he's blocking him all the way through the play. So that's good. Second play, he seals and pushes his edge rusher to the outside so that quarterback has a running lane, eventually gets that touchdown. Same thing again here. He just like pushes and moves the edge rusher in whatever way he needs to create a run lane for these next couple plays. Does the same thing. He can just get his hands on you and turn you. Here he's working again in the next level. Note on all of these plays where he's kind of getting out in space, getting in the next level. He's not upright. Like I said, he is low and he looks really well balanced. Like at 6'8",
Yeah.
he's able to get down to these smaller edge rushers, get his hands on them, and immediately turn them. It'd be really easy to be too tall and lose the edge because the guy can just get under you even if he's not beating you to the quarterback. Hey, if I can just get 60% of my body on the other side of this tall offense tackle, I can make a play on the running back. World is low, he's square, he's strong, he's balanced, he gets his hands on you and he moves you out of the way. Here on this play, he's gonna trap the defender with his hands and then rely on that anchor that he has. Eventually here, boom, hands on him, boom, I got my anchor. I'm hopping. You're pushing me back a little bit, but you're not getting to the quarterback. Next rep, he keeps his hands and feet working together to keep that defender off of him. He's starts with two hands, he goes to one, he's moving his feet constantly. He
He
has
has
all
all
this
the
stuff.
stuff.
Again,
Again,
he's
he's
got
got
all
all
of
of
this
this
stuff
stuff
here.
here.
Just
Just
like
like
that
that
technique
technique
that,
that,
I'm
I'm
interested to
interested to
see
see
what he
what he
looks
looks
like
like
at
at
Oregon.
Oregon.
This is
This
a
is a
guy
guy
that
that
this
this
isn't
isn't
like
like
my
my
Connerly
Connerly
or
or
anything
anything
like
like
that,
that,
where
where
I'm
I'm
like,
like,
this
this
guy's
guy's
ready to
ready to
be
be
a
a
starting
starting
really
really
good
good
left
left
tackle
tackle
right
right
now.
now.
But
But
I
I
think
think
this
this
is
is
going to
going to
be
be
another
another
classic,
classic,
like
like
closer
closer
than
than
you
you
think
think
he
he
is
is
for
for
people.
people.
And yeah,
And yeah,
you
you
said
said
second
second
round.
round,
Like I
like I
could
can
see
see
that
that
based
based
on
on
just
just
like the
like the
profile
profile
and
and
like
like
the
the
school and
school and
stuff
stuff
like
like
that.
that.
But I
But I
won't be
won't be
surprised that,
surprised that,
especially
especially
through the
through the
draft
draft
process,
process,
redshirt
redshirt
senior, so
senior,
he's
so
going
he's
to be
going to be
at the
at the
Senior
Senior
Bowl
Bowl
doing
doing
stuff.
stuff.
I think
I
this
think this
guy's going
guy's
to
going
be
to be
a
a
top
top
20
20
pick,
pick,
no
no
doubt,
doubt,
in my
in my
mind.
mind.
Like,
Like,
what will
what will
my
my
official
official
grade
grade
be
be
as I
as I
watch some
watch
of
some
these
of these
Oregon
Oregon
games and
games and
really
really
build out
build
this
out
whole
this whole
profile? I
profile?
don't
I don't
know.
know.
But I
But I
think
think
there's
there's
enough
enough
here,
here,
and I
and
could
I could
just
just
see
see
the
the
world too
world too
many
many
times where
times
it's
where it's
just
just
like,
like,
oh
oh
yeah,
yeah,
six
six
eight
eight
moves
moves
like
like
that.
that.
That
That
is
is
like
like
doesn't
doesn't
have a
have a
glaring
glaring
weakness.
weakness.
He's gonna
It's
go
gonna
to
go
the.
to the.
He's gonna
It's gonna
like.
like.
Is this
Is
the
this the
first
first
senior
senior
we've
we've
mentioned? We
mentioned? We've
mentioned a
mentioned a
bunch of
bunch of
juniors,
juniors,
right? So
right? So
like,
like,
this might
this
be
might
the
be the
best
best
offensive
offensive
lineman at
lineman
the
at the
Senior
Senior
Bowl,
Bowl,
and
and
like,
like,
yeah,
yeah,
those guys
those
get
guys get
drafted
drafted
early.
early.
Yeah, it's a great point about where he might actually go. At the moment, I could drop him to early third round. I could take him in late first, but it's easy to look at that size, and he does move well. He doesn't move elite, but he moves well with that size. And you mentioned him willingly getting low, so he's not playing high. That's a big deal for these guys. Probably the two things that are keeping me back right now. It's that Nevada Oregon combination where
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't get a true handle on what he really is. And again, he's been in the game for a while, you know.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And the other thing is, since he is playing left tackle, if he was playing right tackle, I think I'd be a lot more willing to just kind of take a risk on that. But since he's playing left tackle, I'm a little less likely to pull the trigger on him, say, in the top 20, because I just don't know yet. I haven't seen him play enough against the Ohio States of the world. And even when they do, they're doing so much weird stuff. Oregon will be,
Yeah.
And so there's just so much uncertainty there. And yet I see the size, I see the hands, I see the feet, I see decent athleticism, not to pull all the way across, but to get second level and to stretch zone block. I see all of that. I'm fairly comfortable with him at left tackle. I just kind of wish it was a right tackle prospect, not a left tackle prospect, especially coming off of Caden Proctor, whose ceiling is way up here.
Hmm.
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 And, coming off of, some of these other guys that we're talking about tonight. To me, the safer guy, even though he doesn't have the size or the strength, is the Utah guy,
Lomu.
Lamu,
Lomu.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Lamu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the
Yeah.
safer guy, but World has, I think, a higher ceiling. So,
Interesting.
that's where I'm at. But you're right. That size, that good footwork, that decent speed is going to pull him up. I think it's not going to pull him down. He's not going to be in the third round. There's no way. I'm just talking about where I'm at, but
Hmm.
that's what I'm at on him.
I want
I
him in
want him in
a
a
gap
gap
scheme,
scheme,
which yeah is
which
so
yeah is so
frustrating.
frustrating.
He's at
He's at
Oregon.
Oregon.
Uh,
Right.
Um,
but yeah,
but
just
yeah,
like,
just like,
can you just
can you
block the
just
guy
block
in
the guy
front of
in
you
front of you
and keep
and
him out
keep
of the
him out of
way?
the way?
Like
Like,
if
if
you could
you could
just
just
focus on
focus
that
on
guy
that
in
guy
that
in that
spot,
spot,
wonderful. Like
wonderful.
I'm
Like,
good
I'm
with
good
that.
with
And I
that.
think
And
he's
I think
got
he's
that good
got
enough
that good enough
accuracy on the left
accuracy on
side.
the left side.
And here's the
And here's
thing,
the thing,
like that was a
like
good
that was
note
a good
about
note
like
about
if
like
this
if this
exact
exact
profile was a
profile
right
was a right
tackle, that would be
tackle, that
one
would be
thing.
one thing.
Where I want to
Where
know
I
where
want to know
you're
where
at
you're at on
on this
on this
these
these
days.
days.
I am
I am
so
so
anti
anti
switching a
switching a
guy
guy
unless his
unless his
profile,
profile,
and when I say
and when I
switcher,
say
I mean
switcher, I
from
mean
left
from
side to
left
right
side to
side
right side,
Right.
or vice
or vice
versa.
versa.
Yeah.
Unless I
Unless
like
I like
absolutely have
absolutely
to,
have to,
and the
and
talent
the
just
talent just
screams I had to
screams I
take
had to
him,
take him,
or
or
like it's just
it's
clear
just
he could
clear
do
he
it.
could do it.
Like Troy
Like Troy
Fautanu,
Fautanu,
right?
right?
Screen like
Screen
that.
like that.
Joe Alt,
Joe Alt,
how
how
smooth they
smooth they
played the
played the
position and
position
how
and how
athletic they
athletic they
were.
were.
You're like, oh,
You're
they
like,
could
oh,
just
they
do
could
this
just
from
do
any
this from
spot
any spot
on the field.
on the
It
field.
was
It
easy to
was
see.
easy to see.
Counter to that,
Counter to
Toish
that, Toish
Flaga,
Flaga,
I didn't
I
think was
didn't
going
think
to
was going to
transition to left
transition to left
tackle. That's a
tackle.
guy I
That's a guy
probably
I
wouldn't
probably
have
wouldn't
moved.
have
But like
moved.
for
But
New
like for New
Orleans,
Orleans,
they wanted
they
to
wanted
try
to try
penning on the
penning
right
on the right
side, and then
side,
they
and
moved
then
him.
they moved him.
And I didn't
And I
actually
didn't
check what
actually
they
check
did
what they
week
did
one,
week
but all
one, but
the
all
buzz
the
through
buzz
training
through
camp was
training
they were
camp was
putting
they were
Flaga
putting Flaga
back on the
back
right
on the
side
right
because
side
Kelvin
because
Banks was
Kelvin
coming
Banks
in,
was
put
coming
those
in,
guys
put those
both
guys
at
both
their
at
natural
their natural
positions.
positions.
Like
Jay,
I
like
mentioned
I
Latham
mentioned
earlier,
Latham
right?
earlier,
When
right? When
Tennessee
Tennessee
drafted J.C.
drafted J.C.
Latham,
Latham,
and they were the
and they were the
worst right
worst
side
right side
offensive line
offensive
for the last
line for the
5
last
years, and
5
they're like,
years, and they're
"Oh,
like, oh,
we took him in
we
the
took
top
him in the
10, so
top
we're gonna
10,
make
so
him
we're
the
gonna
left
make him the
tackle." I
left
was like,
tackle. I was like,
"Why?" And then it
why?
was
And then it was
awful. It didn't
awful.
work.
It
So
didn't
like
work. So like
for the
for the
viewers and
viewers and
listeners,
listeners,
to me at
to me
least, least you'll learn this about me. This is not just like you're saying enough good stuff about him. He's really tall. He should still play tackle. Just stick him at right tackle. I actually I mean,
I mean,
I never know
I
for
never know for
sure.
sure.
But
But
World isn't the
World isn't the
guy
guy
whose
whose
athleticism to me
athleticism to me
screams
screams
just flip
just flip
sides.
sides.
Because it's
Because it's
not
not
A plus
A
athletes
plus
play left
athletes play
tackle,
left
B
tackle,
plus
B
athletes
plus
play right
athletes play right
tackle.
tackle.
It's A
It's
plus
A
athletes
plus
can play
athletes can
either
play either
side. B
side.
plus
B plus
athletes can
athletes
play the
can play
side
the
they've
side they've
played and
played
repped a
and repped a
million
million
times and have
times
played
and have
since they
played since
were
they were
13 years
13
old,
years
whatever
old,
it is.
whatever it is.
That's where he's
That's where
comfortable.
he's
That's where he's
comfortable.
learned
That's where he's learned
everything.
everything.
I don't know if he's
I
a
don't
good
know if
enough
he's a good
athlete to
enough athlete
completely
to
undo that.
completely
Now,
undo
his
that. Now,
freshman
his
year at
freshman year at
Nevada, he
Nevada,
played
he
some right
played some
tackle. So,
right
like, maybe
tackle.
he'd
So,
be
like, maybe
fine.
he'd be fine.
I don't know how
I
much
don't
he
know how
repped
much he
it
repped it
in high school
in
and in
high
college
school and in college
overall. But
overall.
just
But
wanted to give a
just
little
wanted to give a
note
little
on
note on
left side versus
left
right
side
side.
versus right side.
Quickly,
Quickly,
where are you at
where are you at
on switching
on
sides for
switching
these
sides
offensive
for these
linemen?
offensive linemen?
I've moved to a place where it's all about pre-draft for me versus post-draft. If I'm thinking about drafting you and I already want to change your position, that means I really don't think you can hold down that spot at the NFL level. That's what that means.
Hmm.
So that, I still like you. I want you on the team. I love your attributes, your mindset, your fit. I just don't think you're good enough to hold that spot that you held in college at the NFL level. So I'm wanting to move you to a spot I think you'll be better at.
Hmm.
But post draft, as a GM, it's out of my hands now. I'm handing all that over to the coaches. If I drafted you a right tackle and the coaches come and say, I mean, they don't even need to ask me, they just do it. Say, this guy can play left tackle. We need him to. We know we can do it. Heck yeah, let's do it, man. Move him
Hmm.
over. So that
Yeah.
that's what it comes down to for me. I don't want to switch people unless I got to.
Yeah.
But again, if I'm thinking about it before the draft, that means I really like you. I just don't think you can hold that spot. After the draft, the coaches do whatever they think is the great fit for them.
All right, moving on here. Let's get to our first interior offensive lineman, Ben. Guards matter too. Vega
Yes, they do.
Ione, the guard out of Penn State, redshirt junior, attended Graham Capasone, Capauson High School in Graham, Washington, entering his second full season as the starting left guard for Penn State. I went and double checked after all those guards last year, Tyler Booker, Donovan Jackson. Ione has not played tackle. He's been playing guard his whole college career. He's listed at 6'4", 330. He was a three-star recruit, eighth overall player in Washington coming out of high school. Talk to me about Vega Ione from Penn State.
I hope you don't hate me. I hope the audience doesn't hate me. You may completely disagree with everything I'm about to say. Okay.
Oh,
This was the guy that disappointed me the most when I
oh,
turned on the film versus
oh,
what I'd been told. All right. This was the
oh,
guy. Okay. And I hate
oh.
to say it because I can see the potential there. I see the possibilities,
It's a
but
huge
dad
bummer.
gummit. So let me hit the good stuff first. Okay. Um, Obviously, this guy can run block. Okay. I like the way he drives forward. I like the way he moves. They do some weird crap with this guy. Penn
We should
State.
say Penn State is the other epitome of I hate this. He has you go on PFF and you look at like alignment snaps, right? Because I wanted to double check on the whole tackle thing, and he's got alignment at outside receiver, like
This is
multiple
the
snaps because they
guy.
do the thing where they take their offensive alignment out, but they put their tight end to snap the ball. And I was hoping maybe it'd be gone with Tyler Warren gone, but I don't think that's gonna be the case.
No, no, no. Vega's one of the guys. I don't know how many they're using. Vega is the guy they're using at wide receiver to crack down on edge rushers.
When they
They
do that
also
stuff at the
use him.
goal line and he pulls from outside
Yes,
receiver to try to hit a four tech when it was like or a four like when he could have just done that from like and
I didn't
he
like
never
that.
hits it. He never hits it.
Never
Like
hits
0
it.
for 6. They tried it 3 times in a row at one point. Like, come on, man.
And frequently they have him once the ball is snapped, drop from left guard and move back to where the running back might would be if he were trying to watch out for blitzes up the middle. You know,
Gross.
really unusual. I like the fact that they're thinking outside the box. I haven't yet
No,
seen the
gross.
profits margin here. Okay, just to be honest about it. All right, now I like his running blocking. Okay. Matter of fact, when you turn on the tape of the Big Ten championship game last year versus Oregon, in which they got beat fairly easily because they just couldn't stop the Ducks offense. But Penn State got in a rhythm with their two running backs and with that offensive line. And this guy was a big part of it. Okay.
Hmm.
You talk about they just kept running the football and Oregon couldn't stop it. Now, they just couldn't score enough points to get the lead back from the Ducks, but Oregon couldn't stop it. It was phenomenal. Okay. So all of that is beautiful. The pass blocking. I was so overwhelmingly disappointed with the pass blocking. Okay, so here it is. Um, I really didn't like the pass blocking versus Ohio State. Okay, so that was earlier in the season. I turned on the tape, and after about 5 minutes of tape, that was it, 4 or 5 minutes of tape, which basically would be like the first quarter and a half of the game, right? He got beat so many times, I turned the tape off in pass blocking. I mean, I just got tired of it. I was like, why watch this? It was a lot. It wasn't once or twice, it was several times. But I said, that's Ohio State. They got one of the best defensive lines in the country. It's full of NFL players. I won't even count that against him. All right. Get rid of that. So I rolled over to the Minnesota tape. All right. When I got to the Minnesota tape, I didn't like the Minnesota tape any better, and Minnesota has very few, if any, NFL prospects on that defensive line. He kept getting beat in pass protection against Minnesota. I was like, it's not every play, okay?
Yeah,
Some
I
plays
know
he's
what you want.
fine, but there were multiple plays against Minnesota where he's getting beaten pass coverage. I'm like, what in the heck, So I turned off that tape. I went to the UCLA tape. All right. That was a little better, but they were doing a lot of run blocking in that
Hmm.
UCLA game. It just wasn't as much passing. They could push UCLA around, so they did. You know, that was a little better, but it wasn't great. And then I got over to the Oregon tape, and early in the first half, when they were getting run out the building by the Ducks, he got beat several times by Harmon, who's an NFL prospect, but by some of the other Ducks guys as well. He got beat several times in the first half of the Oregon Ducks game in pass protection. And I was so disappointed. I turned off that tape. No, I didn't. I remember what happened. That's when they started running the football. The second half, it was just
Hmm.
run, 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 run. Lots of success doing that. I love his run blocking. I love his size. I love his speed for his size. I love all that. I wouldn't put him on an NFL field yet because the pass blocking is so rough right now. So I would still draft him. There is no way I'd put him on the field right now until he showed me he could do better than that. And he's not generally even going up against the Southeastern Conference folks who are the
Hmm.
best in the country. He's going up against, you know, Big Ten guys, which are good, but they're not SEC good, generally speaking. The
Right.
Ohio States
Hmm.
and the Michigans are, but the others are not. So I'm just not there on him. He can get there for me. All right. If he picks it up this year, he can get there. That's just where I'm at on him.
This one hurts, man. I thought it was gonna be World. I thought World was the guy that you were just gonna be out on, and I was gonna be like, no, there's something here. There's something here. And but even that, I was like, it's not too big a difference. This
Right.
hurts me, man. I love this guy. I'm like, I'm also in the minority of the Drew Aller stuff now.
Yes.
That is what. But I was sitting here watching Vega. I'm watching him again right now, by the way. Yeah, he just got beat on that play there. He stalled his feet. I'm literally watching the Ohio State tape again as we're talking because I
Okay.
I also watched this game, um, and I did not come away as yeah. I do. I Another bugaboo. Can we talk about this? I
Yes.
want to keep this thing moving, but here we are. I'm watching them right now. I hate the unless it's a one off, but I hate the pull the guard just for pass protection. Like what?
Yes.
Why? Like if it's a specific design play where you're like selling the run out of
Right.
it, because
Right.
that's where it started, right? It's like play action, but boot the other way, but make them think it's a power run that in that direction. But now teams are just doing
Yes.
it on like shotguns and dropbacks, and it's like, what's the point of this anyway? Because I
Yeah.
just watched him do it and he completely whiffed. But yeah, he did get beat, so that's there. Uh, Gosh, I got so distracted. That was the first guy I wasn't showing any film clips while you were talking because I was
And
just
by
I
the
was
way,
watching too.
I wanted to like him so bad because
Oh,
everything I'd
I
heard
do,
was
man.
good. He's a Penn State guy.
Hmm.
And um that was another reason. Anyway, I really wanted to like him. I don't hate him yet. I'm just not all the way there yet. So
Oh, but so while I was watching the game, I was like, Pittsburgh Steelers, first round pick next year, Drew Aller, second round pick, Vega Ione.
there you go.
The Steelers are gonna need one more guard next year. Get those teammates. I'm here for it. All right, here's what I got. So strong, good base and anchor, good hand use, has good feet. Notice I said has good feet and can play in space, but
Right.
doesn't usually make contact out there. So that's my first like real guy that we're talking about where I'm like, he's just not that good in space. He is and like it's not gonna be great for an Arthur Smith zone blocking scheme. So like maybe my dream is already dead, but He's just not going to make the contact out there. Like that's just not what he does. But he gets good. He does get good push overall in the run game. So let's go ahead and let's play some of that tape since I robbed the fine people on YouTube of it. This first play here, he's at left guard, so he's over here, boom, popping the hands at 44, just like knocks him back instantly. I like that. Here, he's on the pull right to left. They put him on the right side because, you know, that's what they do. But nice feet. He gets
Mhm.
engaged there. That's good. Here, that's like the real pass pro rep that I have here for him. Um, Let me see if I can get back to it easily. So right here, he's got good quick hands and he's got that nice anchor. So boom, he gets on 91, which 91 at Ohio State last year, that was Tyler Williams, wasn't it? First round draft pick for the Lions.
I
Was he
can't remember the
91
number,
last
but
year?
if it's Williams, yes, he's a heck of a player.
And
Yes.
now Williams is a run stuffer, right? He's not like
Hmm.
that was his thing. He's not like an elite pass pro or pass rusher or anything. But like that's
Right.
an NFL player, I'm pretty sure, 91. And quick hands, strong anchor. Like that strength
Hmm.
is there. Look at him. He is upright against that defensive tackle with no problems whatsoever. So I like that. And he's got his hands on him quick. And then here he pulls. He doesn't quite make it to the defender, but here's that move I was talking about. Uses those long arms and strength where he can't get to the defender, but he gets a little push right at the end. Just keeps that edge rusher off of Aller just long enough that Aller can make that play. So another guy where, yeah, they out in space stuff, you know, and you don't like your guards to not have at least a little bit of foot speed because you don't want them getting cut across the middle on a game or something like that. You know, he starts, if he's at left guard, he starts moving left a little bit, but then that edge rusher comes looping over. You want him to be able to get back over. You don't want the Joe Burrow, Miles Garrett clip from week one. Did you see that one where Garrett just like gets a complete free run up the middle at Burrow and just like, you talked about
You don't
crushing
want that.
people. Just
Mm,
like folds them up. You don't want that.
no.
You can't have that in the NFL. So like that, I can see what you're talking about there, and there are limits, and this is a clear day two classic run blocking gap scheme guard that you just get in, and if it's the right scheme and it's the right guys around him, you can just plop in. But I see what you're saying. Like he's not gonna be the the plus level pass blocker right away. He's got to work on some of that foot speed stuff or do the thing that we've talked about with some of these tackles above him, figure out the technique thing to work around the lack of the athleticism thing. And he has that a little bit. There's reps with quick hands, but he's got to be able to keep his feet moving and he's got to work on that overall ability to move a little bit in that phone booth. It's there, but I think especially seeing those pulls on impact again, just stop pulling this guy in pass protection. It's not gonna just don't do it. Um, but even in the run game, like out in space, like that's just not his bag. So you're gonna have to be a gap scheme. You're gonna have to be a man scheme type of blocking system for this guy, and you're just gonna have to ask him to just like, hey man, just sit here and like pass pro, just like hold up against the guy in front of you. Keep your head on a swivel. Let's get him next to a veteran center who can help him with that stuff. There's stuff here, but it's not Tyler Booker, right? That you know, if you want to think about the first guard taken last year, it's not that where he can do everything from the guard perspective.
And I do. I don't think this guy's even close to hitting the ceiling. Matter of fact, to me, he's closer to project than he is to ceiling. At least not on the run blocking side, but on the pass protection side. And I don't know. I think he's got the talent to be a very good offensive lineman in the NFL. I really do. I really believe the potential is up here somewhere.
Hmm.
I think it's there. It just hasn't been tapped into yet. And I don't know if I should blame the Penn State coaching staff for that because you mentioned it, and I didn't even mention it, but I saw it. Sometimes he's not at left guard. Sometimes he's over here on the right side. And you're like, what, why is he doing that? So he's left guard, but sometimes he's at wide receiver. And sometimes he drops back and kind of starts from the running back position as soon as the play starts. And sometimes he's over on the right side, and you're like, what's the real profit margin here on this kind of stuff, even though it's outside the box? So I really believe this guy would be a great investment pick, but not probably in the top 40 for me. Somewhere after the top 50 picks, I would consider him, especially if I had an offensive line coach who I really believed in developing guys. That's where I'm at on him at the moment.
The good news with all that Penn State stuff, you get to see him on both sides, and I think he could comfortably play either guard spot. So I
Yes.
think
Yeah.
that, and that means from a development standpoint, you can draft him and he can be your swing guard for a year. It's hey, if a guy gets hurt, he can play either spot while we work on
Mhm.
getting him up to speed from. And listen, like the run blocking's there. We've said that, and if it's a gap scheme and he's just got to push the guy in front of him, he can
Right.
certainly do that. So you don't have
Right.
far to go. It might even just take a good rookie minicamp and OTAs and
Hmm.
training camp with an NFL team and, like you said, good O-line coach for him to figure out what he needs to figure out from a pass protection standpoint. It might not take that long. And that's where we
Yeah.
get into the idea of like these rookies. Can you have a healthy offseason? Can you be there on that train when it takes off in the spring and not trying to jump on it week 2 of training camp, right? So this would be a guy that like you just want wherever he gets drafted, whenever he gets drafted, hey, good health right away. And he gets a full complement of reps all off season
Hmm.
to get on board because maybe he could get up to speed pretty quickly. Because I agree, like I don't think there's poor enough athleticism that he can't be a plus pass protector, especially at guard. It's just got to be the right situation and mix of factors to get him there. But I do see it only took a couple minutes to see that one defender just like keep his feet moving enough, work around him, and you can't have that in the middle there.
No, it's not. And I will say, because if I were GM, I would always be in contact with the coaching staff, right, on everything, just about at least getting their thoughts. But this would especially be a guy where I would run to the coaching staff and say, "Hey, I see potential here. Do y'all think y'all can get that out of him or not?" And if they're like, "Heck yeah, let's go get him at pick 46," then I'm going to be like, "Heck yeah, let's go get him." And if they're like, "Nah, not sure it's there," it's like,
Hmm.
okay, we'll wait. If he's sitting there at, pick 65 or 70, then we'll take him. This is the guy I would really be in tune with the coaching staff on.
All right, so that was close to 90 minutes on our like quote unquote top 6 guys. You'll fill me in, Ben, on if any of these other guys we have to talk about you feel are above those 6. But real quick again, let's just shout out Box Score Network. Um, Mention the YouTube channel. Head over to the YouTube channel. Twice a week, you're going to get fantasy football stuff. Tuesdays, waiver wire ads from Two Piece on a Pod. Peyton, who's on this show monthly, and his brother Parker. Sunday mornings, Ben, who's here. Austin, who's been here before. Parker was on it this week. That'll be a more rotating cast of guys, hopefully, but they'll give you your start sit questions. So, fantasy football, go to Box Score Network YouTube. You'll also see clips from here, clips from Ben's YouTube channel as well. Ben, talk to us about your YouTube channel real quick. And odds on favorite is pretty entangled with that these days. So tell us what you got going on over there.
Pro Football Enterprises, we're still really tightly linked. We advertise every show, every Commander show for this network too. So it's a lot of the same people that you'll see on both networks. We spend a little bit more time on the Commanders every week. Obviously, me and Robertson. We have another whole section on draft prospects as well. So if you like that, we've covered I think 60 some guys so far. Like we covered a dozen quarterbacks, we've covered a bunch of offensive linemen, we've covered I think 23 wide receivers over there. We even hit watch list guys for the 27 draft. If we like them good enough, we'll grab a few of those. So, it's a lot of the same style of content from some of the same guys, but you'll get different details, different looks, different players, all that.
All right, love that. Make sure you check that out as well as everything on Box Score Network and all the pods over here. Last guy I have some film clips on, Ben. This is a guy that I kind of just did a little special project on. I was interested. Austin Barber, offensive tackle out of Florida. So I'm just going to pull up his film here while I talk about him. Barber is a redshirt senior out of Florida. He's 6'6", 315-pound left tackle, entering his second full year as the team's starter. So he was with the school for a while there before he was named the starter, but 2 years as a starter. He was a three-star recruit out of Jacksonville, Florida, Trinity Christian Academy. I watched the Ole Miss game from last year. Lots of NFL draft prospects on that defensive line, so that was a good one to watch. He's quick
Yes.
twitch. He's aggressive. He gets off the snap, engages defenders quickly. He's got good fast footwork to reposition and seal for a run play. He's comfortable in space, and he can make contact. He's on balance and he keeps his feet moving when engaged in pass pro as well. But this is another guy where his play strength just needs to improve. He falls off of blocks pretty consistently. Like he's kind of good for like 2 seconds per block kind of deal. And then after that, it's kind of, hey, you're gonna get what you're gonna get. So Barber is a guy that really good fit for a team in a run scheme or a zone running scheme. Even a zone blocking scheme would be pretty good. I think of a guy like a Brian O'Neill when I think of Barber. Like he doesn't quite have the same hand usage that O'Neill does, where he's like, but O'Neill is light. He's light in the pants, but he works around it well. He's a good technician, and he's just pretty quick on his feet even now. So let's look at a couple plays here. Fires out. He gets to the second level with good speed and footwork before giving some pop to the defender. He has pop. It's not When I say he's light and needs to improve his strength, doesn't mean he's like weak or anything like that. It's just that ability to sustain blocks is really important, and he needs to work on that. Here, he engages the defender, he begins the block, but the defender is certainly outmuscling him. They're headed towards the left side for the offense. Barber is staying close, he's staying engaged through that rep, and he doesn't give up. He maintains the block and he ends up actually creating room for the runner with that block because he just continues to push him up the line. That's that good footwork that he's keeping there, but it's not that play strength that he's using. Here he fires out into space, weird, cool submarine throw from the quarterback there. But then he gets space out here on the defensive back. He makes a play there on that screen play. Next one here, he's gonna seal the edge for this run play, and that's against Princely Uman Milan, who was just a draft pick this year. So he seals him pretty good. Here he switches sides on the right side, and he gets the nice wash down of this defensive line. Good big push, and that ends up being a touchdown. That was a big play. Here, another one from left tackle, pass pro. Gets off the line quickly, gets his hands up, keeps his feet moving. But there's an example there right at the end. That defender eventually is the one that tackles the quarterback. Now, the quarterback is able to get out of the pocket, move up because of all that pocket that he has from Barber. But Barber doesn't sustain that block. Fanu there puts that guy in the dirt. And that defender is out of the equation for the rest of the play. This is the guy, he's able to keep moving, keep hustling. He eventually gets to the quarterback. Could have been a 10, 12-yard run, ends up being 5 or 6. It's not a sack because Barber is able to block him, but it's also not a big run because he doesn't keep that block down the whole time. So Barber, I've said this about a guy like Blake Miller before, who we're not going to talk about this year because he's moving down boards. When you stick around in college for so long and your profile is like, yeah, you're the day two tackle, and you stick around for another year, you kind of move down the board. Barber right now is that quintessential like, yeah, day when I need a day two tackle, right? There's stuff here, but he's not the day one guy. I know Barber wasn't super high on your list, but do you have any notes on anything I just said?
I did not, just full disclosure to the audience, I did not get to Barber. I just flat ran out of time. I think we covered on the other network, I think we covered about 15, 16 guys. We didn't make him one of them. He was in the conversation, he just didn't make the cut. And then for here, he made the cut, but I didn't get time. I kind of put him off because I wanted to see some other guys.
Okay, so next up, Ben, let's get to a couple interior offense line. We'll hit one more kind of pseudo tackle. We'll see where he actually ends up being. I want to hear your take on Caden Green out of Missouri. So he's a junior from Missouri via Oklahoma. As a freshman at Oklahoma, he played over 500 snaps at left guard. Then last year, after transferring to Missouri, he started all 13 games at left guard. But so far through 2 weeks in 2025, he's the team starter at left tackle. That was like a conscious decision they made in the offseason. They wanted to kick him to tackle. That's what he played in high school. That's what he was initially recruited at. I think I would guess based on what happened, he was at Oklahoma. He was going to be like a future tackle, and they just needed him to play guard based on the number of snaps he played and when he started playing. And then Missouri saw that and they were like, "Yeah, man, come play guard for us." And then it was like, "Now we need a tackle. Come play tackle instead." Because when you look at him, like he definitely stands out. I mean, he is 6'5", 325, and you could just tell that even the left tackle that was there last year, like he's just like that guy should be the tackle and that guy should be the guard. Like there's something off here. He was a four-star recruit coming out of high school. He was a top 100 player in the nation, number 11 offensive tackle, and number 2 overall player in the state of Missouri. Um, what are your thoughts on Caden Green? Where do you stand on him as a like what you've seen, but also like is he going to end up being a tackle or a guard at the NFL? You think?
I'm high and low on him at the same time. Okay. So there's a lot I like, but the 24 tape showed me a lot that he needed to improve. But I expect, based on previous Missouri offensive linemen and based on the talent I think he's got, I think in 25 he will improve it. I really do.
Hmm.
So I expect him to climb. So the analysis I've got right now is kind of cautious and conservative today. I do expect him to climb though. So here we go. A little top heavy, not a lot, but a little top heavy when I watched him, but very nimble. This guy can
Yes.
really kind of move around, almost tiptoe, right? Like the
Yep.
Grinch at Christmas time. All right, there's your second Dr. Seuss reference of the night. Okay. Um, he seems athletic, which he is, but he's
Mhm.
not super fast. Okay, so don't look for blazing speed out of him, but he is athletic. I really like the athleticism. I love the highlights. The first thing I do, just quick insight here. Anytime I'm watching any player, I go straight to the highlights first because I want to know when this guy is at his absolute peak best, how high is that ceiling?
Hmm.
What's it look like? What's his and his highlights are beautiful. Oh my gosh. If you only watch the highlights of this guy, you're like top 20 pick, done. Walk away, drop the bike, right? That's it. The real film is a lot worse, okay? But the highlights are beautiful, which lets you know, some draft analysts like to grade to the flashes, which I don't. I
Hmm.
grade to production to consistency, but some guys do. If you're grading to the flashes, he's way up there. My gosh, I he's got a very high ceiling. Okay, so the highlights are very good. The Texas A&M tape was rough. Oh my goodness, they forced him to make a lot of decisions, but that's okay. They had one of the three best defensive lines in the country in
Yep.
24, along with Ohio State. They were devastatingly wicked at winning on their own, but then they did all kinds of twists and stunts the entire game. They really forced him to make decisions like they do everybody else. I don't hold that against him. It's just rough tape, all right? So maybe don't watch the A&M tape, okay? Um, he pivots very easily. One of the smoothest guys I've seen at working in a phone booth. Just poop, poop, poop,
Yes.
and he's just bam. He helps the center. He helps the tackle. He pushes. He helps. He helps. It's kind of like Superman in a phone booth, right? It's just really, really like that. I didn't see any other offensive lineman doing that the way he does it. I really, really like that. Um, let's see. He played hurt against Oklahoma. I think he played hurt against another team too. I think there were two games where he was legit playing hurt. And so maybe don't watch that tape either, okay? Be picky about what tape you watch. Don't watch the highlights. Don't watch the A&M tape because that was bad tape. Don't watch the Oklahoma tape because he was hurt. And there was another hurt tape, but catch him on the right time, and you'll get a real fair idea of what this guy can be. Where am I at here? Can be beat with good moves, like a rip, push, and a shove. I saw him get beat with all those.
Mm.
I think he's just not developed yet, and
Yeah.
I think he will develop. I really do. The last note I had on this guy, I don't do player comps very often, but sometimes Ikemi Kwanu out of NC State, who,
Oh, your
by the
guy.
way,
Hmm.
played left tackle, and who, by the way, I really loved hasn't panned out to anything great. He's okay over there at left tackle, but I got shades of that. It's not exactly the same, but that's the shades I got.
I see what
So
you're talking
I
about.
was, yeah, I wasn't surprised that he kicked over to left tackle from Missouri. I didn't actually know that, but I wasn't surprised at that. At the moment, he's a guy I would be hoping I could catch at pick 50 or 60. And I just don't think it's ever going to happen. I think he's going to play really well this year. I think he's going to move up the boards. And I don't know if it's top 20 or not, but I expect him to move on up in the top 40 is kind of what I'm expecting.
Gosh, we are so in lockstep, man. That's so funny. I literally have here, um, good athlete navigates the tight spaces of the interior well. He's the one guy that I talk specifically about how they move
Hmm.
and operate in that interior space.
Yeah.
Um, Unfortunately, the Texas A&M tape is the tape I watch. Now, I look for
Mm.
those things. I look for what's that best defensive line that he played, and that was there, and I
Right.
watched it, and my goodness, it was bad. Now, it was funny because I
Yes.
watched this game, I watched the same game twice. I go once, I'm now, what I'm trying to do this year is I watch one time through without writing anything. Second time through is when I do my clips and write the notes and stuff. First time
Okay.
through just watching, yeah, I think I'm internalizing those highlights. Like I'm just like, oh, that was cool, that was cool, that was cool. And then when I actually
Okay.
need to clip stuff, I'm like, yeah, not that. Oh, not that one. Oh, or I like clip more bad things than good things, and like that's not what you
Right.
want. He was on the ground a lot. He was on the ground a lot, and that was like base looks like it needs work. The core
Yeah.
strength looks like it needs work. Play strength overall is a question mark. Defenders falling off of him really fast. Not a lot of push in the run game, like at all. Like that was a very much I'm gonna try to get my hands on you and just turn you in one direction. I'm not really getting any kind of push in any sort of way. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
like turn your body a little bit. Not the way I talked about, I think I talked about World in this way a little bit. He gets his hands on you and he moves you in whatever direction he needs to
Yeah.
put you, right? Think about playing Pokemon, old school Pokemon on the Game Boy. Strength, right? You get strength, you can move boulders out of the way. That's what World does. Green is kind of just like a little, like, he's like, yeah. He's like, can I lean you one way or another and just like kind of tiptoe past you kind of deal? Like, excuse me, sorry, excuse me, sorry. Um, Play strength was not there. But the whole moving to tackle thing is funny because when I was watching, I was like, I want to watch this guy play tackle. Just the way he moves on his feet. Another guy with
Yes.
long arms. I want to see that guy at tackle. Let me see him work up the arc and just try to keep guys
Yeah.
at bay. And then when I was doing the research, I was like, oh, cool, he's playing tackle this year. Great. So I want to see that because if he was going in as a guard, yeah, it's like bottom of the second round kind of thing. But tackle like could be
Mhm.
really interesting. So I'm interested for sure. Um, it's also good to know that that was literally the worst game. It's like last year when I was like, I don't like Denzel Burke out of Ohio State at all, and you were like, well, you watched Oregon, and that was his worst game of his entire career. It's like, okay, well, that's good to know. Um, all right, so that's Caden Green. Could play guard. Probably athletic to play both sides. I think like he can move around a little bit, and I
I
think
think
some of
so.
his
Yeah.
snap
Yeah.
counts suggest that. But it's good he's also playing some tackle, so might just be that like versatile, like some pretty like decent athlete kind of guy. That'd be a fun project. All right, we have two centers, and I want to knock these guys out fairly quickly. Even though, man, you
Yep.
know I love center, but I'm not. And I'll give you room. I think you're a little more excited about these guys than I am. Connor Liu, center out of Auburn, sorry, and Jake Slaughter, center out of Florida. Now Liu is considered to be a like borderline first round guy, and I could see that. I could see that. He's entering his second year as a starter as a junior, true junior. He's 6'3", weighs about 300 pounds. Some places have him a little over, some a little under. I think that's pretty key. 247 had him as a 4-star recruit, but just the 20th ranked interior offensive lineman and 28th ranked player out of Georgia. He attended Kennesaw Mountain High School in Kennesaw, Georgia. Um, and then Jake Slaughter. Well, I won't do this. I think you're excited about these guys. I won't group them together too much. Talk to me about Connor Liu out of Auburn.
Here it comes. I'll get right to it. Connor Liu gets good drive,
Mm,
almost always driving forward, rarely back. I thought this guy could just drive in a straight line through any mountain, anytime, anywhere. Just absolutely love the way he can drive forward, especially on running plays, right? That's really where you're looking for that at. You
yep.
can do it on pass plays too, but that's not really what you're looking for. Uh, Drive forward. That's him. Okay. Sometimes looks a little awkward or off balance, maybe leaning a little bit too much every once in a while. It's not
Mm,
too often. Every once in a while, I kind of saw him stagger a little bit, like he's reaching for a guy that could be a little bit short arm type thing. I don't know. Did see him every once in a while with that. Um, this is a gap blocker, not a zone blocker to me. I just didn't see anywhere near enough athleticism to get him to move around too much.
hmm.
That's why I want him driving forward. So I got gap blocker, but he can do everything you need for gap blocking. Anchors really well without squatting. This guy looks like
Yes.
he plays tall, but he doesn't play tall. He just is tall as far as his style. This guy has a natural anchor. I don't know how
Hmm.
he's doing it, to be
Yep.
honest. I don't know what forces are going on to his back and thighs, but he anchors so bleeping well. Oh my gosh, this guy can anchor super well. I love that. Auburn loves to run the ball right up the middle behind him. You talk about where they're running the ball at, it's behind him every time. Beside Lou or right beside Lou. They're running the ball right behind him. They absolutely love to do that. And he really played well against that overwhelming Texas A&M offensive line. Matter of fact, I thought he was the biggest reason that Auburn was won that game in double overtime because they were able to so consistently just run the football right up the middle against that pass rush,
Mm,
but you can run the ball against them. And I thought he was the biggest reason for that. Now, I think he's limited athletically. I don't think he's got super long arms. I don't think he's an overwhelming pass blocker. He's okay at that, not great. But I just think if you're looking for that driving force up the middle, this is your guy. And so I really do like him. I personally don't have a first round grade on him. I've got him somewhere top 50 ish, but I really do like what he can do in that one little area, right? And the rest
yep.
is fine.
Yeah, I watched the. This is one of my guys that I watched a game from this year on. Actually, might have been the only one. I watched the Baylor game from I forget if they
Right.
played which week they played them.
Yep.
And yeah, like he like it stands out. Like yeah, he's 6'3", which like guys like Linderbaum and um Frazier, probably like 6'1", 6'2" ish. I think Frazier technically came in at 6'3", but like seems
Okay.
every bit of 6'3", plays it right. Like it's almost Frank Ragnow esque, who like he's not Frank Ragnow. He's not nearly as big as
Yeah.
Frank Ragnow or as athletic. But just
Right.
the fact that he's playing tall and at 6'3" is
Yes.
different than these guys we've seen, like Linderbaum and Frazier. I'm pretty sure Lou has that high level wrestling background like those guys too, which explains that like natural anchor stuff and doing that at
Yeah.
playing tall those is cool. I do like that. That straight line, man. He can just go. Like
Yeah.
put whoever in front of him. Put a nose tackle in front of him, he's gonna get him. Put
Mhm.
nobody in front of him, he'll just go get the linebacker. If there's not a linebacker there, he'll just go. If he's going in a straight line, he's got whoever it is. It doesn't matter. He zeroes
He
in like the
does.
Terminator, and it's beautiful. The Baylor game, he did not move outside of his literal phone booth the entire game. They didn't even ask him to. So I wrote that here. Seems good on his feet, not super fast, but probably could
Right.
go a little more side to side. But
Yeah.
he never even tried. It was like playing. I'm gonna try another video game metaphor here at some point. It's like this isn't the one I wanted to go with, but it's like playing Mario, where it's like you're just going straight in this straight line, and like you got
Right.
to go up and down, up and maybe slow down a little bit, maybe
And
speed
you're
up a little.
eating blocks. You're shoving through blocks.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're not doing any, you're not moving side, you're not tiptoeing around, right? Or Sonic, right? All those old school games where you're just going in one direction the whole time. That's what Connor Liu is doing. Um, I did watch. We're not going to get to Parker Brailsford from Alabama, but I watched those three centers. I watched Lou, I watched Slaughter, I watched Brailsford, who are I think consensus kind of considered the top three centers, and it was
Hmm.
very clearly like Lou, like if you need a center, you can take Lou in the first round and just like be okay with it. I don't know if I'll
Right.
end up with a first round grade on him, but like
Right.
if you need a center, you want to go get Lou and you want to go get him wherever you have to. Slaughter is like your classic like day two, like hey, like he could fill in on a pretty good offensive line and you'd be okay with
Yeah.
him. And then Brailsford is like I watched Brailsford, I did a full thing on him and I was like, this is a day three pick. We're not gonna get to him.
Right.
He's just not it. Um but I like Lou. He's got his strengths that are right there. And I bet he could do a little more. I didn't see them ask him to do it at any point.
Yeah. I agree. I really do like what he can do in that one area. I don't look for don't look for high ceilings with Lou. I don't think it's there.
Jake Slaughter, center out of Florida. 6'4", 300-pound redshirt senior, second full season as the starting center, with an additional 8 games started as a redshirt sophomore. He attended Trinity Catholic High School in Ocala, Florida, where he was a three-star recruit. Ben, what did you think about Slaughter?
So I've got a ton of notes on Slaughter, but I'm not going to go through all that. I just want to focus on two or three things. Okay. This was out of every offensive lineman I've looked at this year and I think last year. This was the smartest, most intelligent, most efficient guy I saw. I did not see a guy, and I don't even think it's close. I did not see a guy who looked like he played with more direction, more purpose, more body efficiency than this guy does. It's like
Hmm.
every hand, finger, twitch, move, thought that he does has a reason for it. I don't think he's super talented or athletic, but I think he is sufficiently and plenty talented and athletic to be a starting NFL center and hold that spot down. He's not dominating physically, but he can hold his own physically. He's not dominating athletically, but has plenty of that. He can move around and block if you need him to. I think he's got the sufficient talent, but boy, you talk about a guy that looks like he could be. The Jeff Saturday comparisons are what coming up here. That's probably
Mm.
not physically that's not legit. But again, you're looking for a center that can communicate with the quarterback, make all the calls, know where everybody on the field is, and then just run your own business. He'll need some help sometimes with dominant defensive tackles. I think that's this guy. I don't have him in the first round, but I've got him again. Second round guy is kind of where I'm looking at him.
Yeah, he like everything I wrote. He's kind of like the who did we say this about? He's kind of like the Miami tackle, Maui
Yes.
Goa of the interior.
Yes. Yep.
Just like uses every bit of his size, his
Hmm.
athleticism, his intelligence on every single rep. He has just enough strength and athleticism to get the job done, was my first note. He uses that height and length well. He gets to defenders quickly because he uses that to his advantage. And he can turn that defender or get them a step
Hmm.
off in
Yeah.
any way that he needs to. He just a little bit, just enough. Um, and he can move a little bit. He's not a plus athlete, but there are multiple times that
Right.
they were using him pulling. Now, play strength isn't great. Like, I think he and Lou are on almost opposite ends of that spectrum. Like, he was on the ground a lot, like, because he's trying
Right.
to make up for that, like, lack of pure ability, talent, athleticism, whatever it is. But you're totally, I think he's like the quintessential, like, day two center. Like, you could just, like,
Yes.
take this guy. I mean, this guy was also tall, but like, remember when it was the Creed Humphrey and Josh Myers draft? I think there
Right.
was another center that went in there somewhere, but those were like the main two guys that were kind of talked about. I think someone ended up going between them, but it was couldn't bother me who that other guy was, but it was like Creed is like everything, like bowling ball, huge and athlete, and then Myers was like, hey, he'll get the job done. And you know what? 4 year starter for the Packers. He
Right.
was a day two pick. He goes to the Jets. They're on a minimum contract. Their star right guard gets hurt the week before the first game,
Yeah.
and Josh Myers is the center. And you know what? They look pretty good. So like, just quintessential can just like play. The guy can just play. He's not going to make a difference for you. And we said this in the O line ranking episode. For whatever reason, and we know why, but we're annoyed by it. Center's the position everyone's like, just give me a C at center.
Right.
We put so much on the quarterback from like the mental aspect of the game. Just give me a guy that's gonna snap the ball and like we'll let the guards and everybody do everything else and like just make him not a
Hmm.
sieve. The I handed out the most C minuses to C pluses at center of all five positions. And it's because the league is just like, yeah, we'll just throw a center out there. And you know what? Slaughter, he could be a C center, and you know what? That might make him a starter for 5 years. Cool.
Right.
That'll work.
Yeah. If Slaughter or Lou is your most talented or even your third most talented offensive lineman on the team at the NFL level, your offensive line is bad. But if you have a good offensive line and you plug one of these guys into it, I think they start to really help everybody because of what they can do. Lou with the driving strength up the
Mhm.
middle. If he's playing around talent, you can imagine kind of the bonus points everybody's collecting there. And then Slaughter, if he's with a good kind of moving offensive line, talented as well, I just think the intellect and the efficiency that kicks in there could bonus point that offensive line as well.
Ben, at one point in this podcast, we were moving. I think we got through those top three guys in like 20 minutes. And I was like, we're going to nail this. And then we got to Lomu and World and Ione. Ah, that's who it was. Vega. Vega got us. I had the fewest notes on him because I was just like, set it and forget it guard. And that was the one guy you could have said that sent us down a rabbit hole. Um, We talked about Pro Football Enterprise. We talked about Box Score Network. Quick shout out to all those guys again. Here's all that. Check out all the pods on Box Score Network. Tricky Takes, also shout out to them. They just launched their own YouTube channel as well for their Tricky 50, which is another fantasy segment that they do. So make sure you're going to check them out over there as well. If you're on the audio side, thank you all so much for listening. As always, we really appreciate it. If you're on the YouTube side, though, and you're new here, we appreciate it. Comment below. Let us know what you think about these guys. Ben and I, we love talking draft, but man, if we get talk O line, you see here, we can really get going. So we appreciate everyone listening, watching, however you're doing it, wherever you're doing it. But make sure you keep doing it. We're gonna be here every month talking about the draft and every week talking about the NFL. So until next time, thank you to Ben. Thank you to you all. Enjoy week 2 of the NFL season, week 3 of the college football season. We will talk to you next time. Have fun and be safe out there.